everybody, welcome back to Geordie Retro Chasers and welcome back to the countdown of my top 25 NES games. It took a while, but we are finally here, so let's do 15 to 10. Right guys, as you know, we have been counting down the top 25 NES games I own. And the reason or how I put them in the order of 25 is purely based off playability today and the volume of nostalgia they held for me as a child way back in the 80s and 90s. So we've made it to 15 to 10. We're going to be looking at the next 5 installments in the list. Hopefully, these videos should come out a bit more regularly than they have been. So, a little update about the channel. I've been trying to change around how I edit and how I shoot my movies. Normally, I've just been doing it on my phone. But as I've explained in previous episodes, sometimes the camera roll can become a little bit of a nightmare on the iPhone because of the size of the file when it comes to exporting. So I bought myself a mini Mac and it's up and running, but I had a couple of issues with the output of the video when I uploaded to YouTube. So that's why these videos have been a little few and far between. And I've just been trying to stick to the main menu of the pickup videos and out in the wild. But here we are. Let's have a look at my 15 to 10 NES games, starting with number 14. Okay guys, in at number 14, and it is Yoshis Cookie. This is a great little game. If you've been following some of the previous episodes, you'll know I included a game called Dr. Mario. I'm pretty sure most, if not everyone out there will have heard of the game Tetris. If you haven't, then I don't know where you've been for the last 30, 35 years. It is a little puzzler game. We're going to have a little VT of it now. It is pretty difficult, actually, for a kid's puzzler, but one that I was very fond of as a kid. I think the whole Dr. Mario thing, when I kicked off with that, and of course Tetris, caught me that little bug of playing sort of puzzle games. Then it later evolved into the likes of Columns, which I know is on the Mega Drive. But yeah. In at number 14, and a proud owner, and something I still tend to play today, something that Mrs. JRC enjoys playing are these type of games, and it is Yoshi's Cookie. On to number 13, guys. So, as I've just mentioned before, earlier on in this episode and in previous episodes, these games were from when I was growing up. So, I think I got my NES in around about 1989/1990. So, I wasn't very old. I was just starting to push double figures. So, I was heavily influenced by what I seen on TV. I wanted to bring the heroes home or the cartoons home that I was watching on television. And this game was up there. It was a TV show I used to watch when I got in from school, when I used to watch on a Saturday morning. And in fact, it probably should have been a little bit further down this list. But without further ado, let's have a look at the legend that is Chippendale. What a game this is. In fact, now that I'm thinking about it, this probably should have definitely been a little bit further down in the list, but that means I would have to remove some of the ones which we're going to look at next week. What a game this is. Perfect little platformer game, as you can see on the VT here. It's still, even today, it still throws up a pretty decent challenge. Is it as good as some of the other Disney games that we may feature further down the line? No, it's probably not. But I remember fondly opening this on Christmas morning, and I remember spending hours, and I mean hours, trying to complete this game. If you haven't played it and you're into a decent platformer, you look for with a little bit of a challenge, I would go out there and I would definitely recommend Chippendale Rescue Rangers, part of that Disney collection, which we covered off on the last episode, where you've got the likes of Darkwing Duck, Tailspin, Chippendales. Again, if you know that they're from the same animators and the same writers, let me know in the comments below. Let me know your thoughts on these Disney classics. But this one sits nicely in my list, and it is Chippendale Rescue Rangers. Lovely. In at number 12, okay, so this game, we've mentioned on a previous episode about games still being pretty difficult to play today. This is in that bracket. I can't remember what the last game was we spoke about, where we said, it was the Turtles. Now, if we're talking about a real challenging game, the Turtles was decent because it was the Turtles, all right? It was the franchise that I loved and I owned. And the game, the difficulty level was set. This game was modelled from the Turtles. That might be a bit of a hint. It came off the back of the success of the Turtles. The level, or the difficulty level in this game, the bar set just as high as the Turtles. Can you guess what it is yet? I'm pretty sure you can. So without further ado, the next game on my list is the wonderful, from Rare, good old Battletoads. What a game this really is. Again, an action platformer. You might start to see, or a beat 'em up, however you wanna dress it up. You might start to see a bit of a pattern forming. You might start seeing, where my gaming comes from today, the influences that I had as a child, and I absolutely adore a good beat 'em up, whether that's a Final Fight, a Streets of Rage, or a Battletoads. Coming from Rare Entertainment, a UK-based company who then started making waves much later on with Nintendo. They were a little bit restricted. If you are not too sure on the NES or a little bit vague on it, back in the day, Nintendo would only allow publishing houses to publish so many titles on their system, and that was to stop the market being saturated the same way as it did in the 80s when we had the US gaming crash. So to avoid that, they only allowed them to release a certain amount, and this was one of the very first Tradeware / Rare titles that was released on the system. Rare then went on to partner up with Nintendo much later on in life for the N64, and they were the guys who brought us some of the great graphics. When you look at the likes of Killer Instinct, you look at Donkey Kong Country, they all produced the FX chip. Star Fox was another one. But their first outing, or one of their first outings, correct me again if I'm mistaken in the comments, one of their first outings for Nintendo, and certainly my first experience of Rare, was Battletoads. If you haven't played this, you can find it pretty much. I don't know what it goes for a box now. I'm pretty sure it does still keep its value, and as you can see, ours is pretty minty. But do yourself a favour, guys. Get out there. See if you can find yourself a mini NES, or, see if you can pick up a copy of Battletoads. Give yourself a couple of days. Have a few games of it. Honestly, it still stands up today. On this system, you won't be disappointed. Take it from me. Big shout out Rare. Big shout out Battletoads. In at number 12 is another Saturday morning cartoon influenced game. This time it is pretty similar to the Chippendale game that we've just looked at. So I won't go into too much detail about it. We'll just actually have a look at what it is. And it is Tailspin. Again, a cartoon I adored when I was a youngling. Does the game hold up today? Is it as good as Chippendale? I don't think it is. Even though it's further down on the list, and I'll tell you why. Although the gameplay doesn't hold up, this was bought for me by my grandparents, who unfortunately are no longer with me, God rest their souls. So, purely based on that reason, I know it's a little bit sentimental, but because of that, I've placed it a little bit further down the list than Chippendale. They play very similar. You can probably see on the VT here that they play really similar, but because of the connection with my grandparents, that's why I thought Tailspin belonged a little bit further down the list. Cheers. Okay guys, number 11 and the final game on this list for this video. This game, I'm pretty sure it was one of those games that I'm pretty sure I borrowed from a family member. When I got my NES, it had already probably been out, about 12 to 24 months. So the catalogue of games, were already there. There was still some real good games that I could pick up. It's like when you buy a new system and you're having to wait for games to drop, and there is a very limited selection. Luckily for me, at the time of picking up the NES, there was a good catalogue of games. This game was already out. I borrowed it. I'm pretty sure I borrowed it off a family member, or certainly one of my mum's friends. And I remember playing it and thinking, this is fucking brilliant. You could build and create your own tracks. Take a hint, Mario Kart. We've said that before on this channel. And it was a game that, when you look at it, you think, it's not that exciting. Trust me, this game, once you get through a few levels, the difficulty level notches up. So if you've got a spare couple hours, because I don't think I've ever completed it. Can you complete this game again? Let me know in the comments. Or is it one where it just continues the levels? I don't think I've ever got that far. But I'm waffling. So let's have a look at what the last game in this video is. And of course, let's get excited because it's Excite-A-Bike. Yeah. One of the very first racing games, or, if that's what you want to call them, driving games that I played. And one that captured my imagination. And one, believe it or not, where you weren't in a car. You're actually on a motorbike. The other thing that I absolutely adored about this game was the fact you could build and create your own tracks. Now, if they could just import that idea into one of the Mario Karts, whether that be a Mario Kart 9 or 10, or whichever one it is, if they could just borrow that idea from Excite-A-Bike, could you imagine being able to design your own tracks? Just like the Mario Maker, so I know they can do it. Imagine being able to design your own tracks, upload them to the web, and then host or hold tournaments and Grand Prix. I'm in the wrong job. I should be in marketing for Nintendo. I should be on the Dragon's Den. Not really. But please do us a favour, Nintendo. If anyone ever watches this, I very much doubt it, borrow the idea and put a track builder in Mario Kart just like Excite-A-Bike. And it was re-released on the N64, which we have a lovely box copy of downstairs. Again, you'll have seen that on previous episodes where we've picked that up. I hadn't even played the modern version. I literally picked it up based on the nostalgia for this. And the last game, number 11 on my list before we move into my top 10, Excite-A-Bike. Okay guys, so that is 15 to 10 pretty much complete. I promise you, we will do 10 to 5 next week. As I said at the start, I haven't had an issue. I'm just trying to find my feet on the tubes, as they're called, and trying to find what suits me better, how to create this content. If you've got any or hints or tips, again, let me know in the comments. But that's it for this episode. Thank you very much from me, everyone here at GRC, everyone here at Chase HQ. Enjoy the rest of your week. We'll be out in the wild on Sunday. Keep your eyes peeled for the next video coming. On the flip side, peace.